rolling. I'm very excited to be joined today by Chris Schwarzenbach, who is a very successful serial entrepreneur in Latin America. And it's actually the second time I'm wearing a shirt here on my YouTube channel. But I recall when I met Chris back in 2019 in Argentina and in Chile, you were always very nicely dressed. So I thought, man, today is a good occasion. You know, I gotta pull up my shirt here. Otherwise I look completely underdressed here and like a crypto nerd. And yeah, just a little bit of context. Chris has been one of the key people actually when I was living in Latin America to connect me with people there. You also came to my conference there. You were a speaker. And also, yeah, just helped me to get connected and known also in the space there. So I'm very grateful and thankful for that. But first things first, man, how is everything going in Buenos Aires? How are you? How is everything?
Fantastic. Buenos Aires and Argentina in general is a great country to create business and to do startups and to pilot them, to try to use it as a test bed. The same as Chile is. So those are great countries, but especially Argentina, because you have more population and you have more diversity of markets within the same country to operate. So that's why we believe that Argentina is a great place to do a startup if you're doing crypto as well, since adoption is growing. So it's a very nice country to start with. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, and for this conversation, I think the whole purpose is that you share some insights and give an introduction also of the entrepreneurship landscape in Latin America, but also the crypto space there, right? Which is growing a lot. And in our pre-conversation, you already said that since I've been there, basically over the past 2.5 years, it has been growing a lot, right? So I think there's a lot to learn today. But before we get into all these juicy things, give a little bit of context about yourself. You have a British accent somehow. How did that come from? And also talk about your whole entrepreneurship journey and how you ended up in Buenos Aires eventually.
Well, quite briefly, I was in banking, in trading. Then I had to go to London. That's where the accent comes from. My partner, he's British, Nick, which you have met. We decided to go into the crypto finance aspect of the industry. We started with an exchange, which is iBit. Then it evolved into iBank, and now it's evolving into IBBA, which is quite simply, it's a neobank with a multitude of services for the unbanked and for the banked people, cross-border payments, payout options, payment gateways, and so on and so forth. So it's trying to accumulate in LATAM a system that it's already well established in Europe, but it's non-existent in LATAM. So we're trying to establish that in each country to provide a service to all people in all countries in LATAM. So that's pretty much the idea, and serve companies from abroad as well. And yes, in the LATAM market, it's been ever growing. As you said, Argentina is becoming a very nice place to operate crypto and cryptocurrencies and crypto exchanges and crypto related businesses. It is very welcoming for that. It has an unstable financial situation like you would not imagine, but this also creates opportunities. And that's why it's a very interesting country to operate it with. It is the same as Venezuela. Venezuela, of course, everybody knows that it's a complicated and problematic country. But still, plenty of opportunities there. We have been operating in Venezuela for more than 5 years. We are a crypto exchange there. We offer remittance services in Venezuela. And these troubled countries offer many, many opportunities. For example, in Argentina, I've seen a lot of new token ideas, new tokenization options and ideas as well, besides cryptocurrencies. So there's a lot of farming equipment and farming products that are being tokenized. Exports of products also are being tokenized, like soybean grains and so on. So all of this is becoming into this new evolution of the regular aspect of the regular life and exports. So, for example, in they're talking about creating a new exchange for actually asset-backed tokens. So soybeans and corn and wheat can be exchanged. Instead of going to the commodities exchange in Chicago, you can exchange it locally in a crypto exchange that will back it up. So it's quite interesting of how they're going to use this and how it's going to be developed. And not only in Argentina, you're going to see this in Brazil, you're going to see it in Chile. With wine, they're doing something similar in Chile, and they're exporting that idea here in Argentina. So all of these countries that produce something are trying to make it more dynamic through crypto, and that's why it is so exciting.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I think, to me, my impression, I've also built up a team now that's operating from Latin America, so we're also still closely working with everything that's happening on ground and with the communities there. And I think Latin America is actually one of the most forgotten and underrated markets in crypto, right? And I can only talk for crypto because that's, the main industry that I'm operating in. I know you're also, you're more on a broader level, I guess, about fintech and all these kinds of, cross-border remittances and all these kinds of things, and banking. But why do you think is that? Because, also, I remember over the past year, and when the whole situation in Argentina heated up and then COVID came, there was stricter regulations in the pipeline. So what are the governments doing? How is the regulation there, and how do you see this moving forward?
Well, it is the same in every country. We have a dedicated legal staff that reviews every single aspect of the law in every single country that we operate in, and are constantly looking at new ideas. As part of the fintech community and fintech associations in each country, we contribute to some legislation on it. For example, we're trying to pass a new crypto law in Peru. We are working with other exchanges in Chile for that as well. In Argentina, we have had several meetings with a lot of senators in order to introduce a new bill that will be crypto comprehensive, at least, if not friendly, at least comprehensive, because there's a lot of hearsay in the financial aspect. But as it happens usually, you cannot stop adoption because it is a necessity. You cannot stop human necessity. So people need a way, they need a way, to interact with each other, to bank with each other, to be able to have a trustless transaction of services or goods. Not necessarily, I'm not talking about currency specifically. So that's what is ever growing, and it's unstoppable. To the point that here in Argentina, the government of Cordoba, which is a province or a state, if you will, they are starting to use crypto to collect taxes. So they're saying that people are using crypto since you cannot stop and police every single person. You have to come up with a way that you can actually make it comprehensive and you can take advantage of it. The case whenever I have interviews and I have an example to use, I use Venezuela for an example. Why I use it? It's because you can say everything you want about Venezuela, but they saw the problem at the beginning. So when Chavez was asked about cryptocurrency, he said that it should be absolutely banned because it's not governed by the Central Bank of Venezuela. And they decided to go with the same solution and mind as every other country in Latam. So it's going to be totally banned. It is for to facilitate all of the terrible things in the world. So they decided to stop it. And they saw that it was impossible. And with the economy tanking and with a massive crisis, they saw that people had to go into cryptocurrencies. Therefore, instead of keeping that block, they decided to adopt it. So the first, it is amazing, but in South America and Central America, and in the whole continent, from Canada all the way down to Argentina, the first country to actually have a comprehensive crypto law and a ministry of cryptocurrencies and fully regulated cryptocurrency exchanges is and was Venezuela. And it just proves one point, which is human necessity will push that boundary. And there's no government that can police every person. So that is what actually happened in Venezuela. And you're seeing this happening in Argentina. Chile is going to be a bit more resistant because it's it's a bit of an island in the financial aspect. Brazil is also going to move forward quite quickly. Colombia already did with the sandbox pilot program with banks, which Binance it's involved. Okay, a few local crypto exchanges like Buddha and Panda. So it's impressive how it's shifting and happening right now. That is why LATAM is very exciting for us, and we believe that this is the place to be.
I like that rationale of human necessity. And I think Venezuela is one of the prime examples, you know, that where the country came into hyperinflation, right? And yeah, I don't want to talk about anything political here, but, you know,
yes, of course,
the structure is pretty, you know, unstable there. And hyperinflation basically forced the people into crypto, right? I think
absolutely.
A very similar thing is happening in Argentina now, right? I think last time when I was there, I think €1 was 45, 50 pesos.
When you were here, when we were here doing the conference, we were talking about a 60 peso per dollar rate. Today is 160.
Oh, God. Oh my God. So, well, that means cheap steak.
Oh yes, absolutely. You can get the best steak in the world and go to the best restaurant, and it's going to cost you like nothing.
But yeah, I mean, the downside of it.
But that's the only good thing about it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not great for the country.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I wanted to say. You know, like, you know, as great as it is for people who are not earning in pesos, who are earning in dollars or euros, right? The people there are suffering, right? They're
absolutely.
They're losing purchasing power almost on a daily basis, right? We had it in Germany around 100 years ago. Well, now I'm in Portugal, but we had it in Germany 100 years ago. I've just been to Turkey for 1.5 months, right? You also heard the news about the Turkish lira getting devalued almost on a daily basis, right? And the people there are not amused about that, right? So they are basically pushed into crypto, right? They have to find alternatives, and crypto is just there.
That's a great example. Turkey is a great example. Look at the crypto exchange and adoption in Turkey from the last month transactions. Use LBC, for example, local Bitcoins as a benchmark, and extrapolate that 2 years prior, and it's going to be massive. The same thing happened in Venezuela. The same thing happened in Argentina. I remember, and I was in awe when this happened 2 years ago. We were looking at numbers and trying to look for crypto exchange numbers and trying to map out the adoption in each country. And we have to look to certain services. Some exchanges provide data. I personally contacted some of them because I know a few of them. And we also looked into local Bitcoins. And we were in awe when we discovered that the transactional volume from Venezuela was higher than Chile, Peru, and Argentina and Brazil combined at one point in time.
Crazy.
And that just shows you that human necessity pushes those boundaries. And they don't care if Bitcoin is at 100,000 or at zero. They don't care about the market because it's a necessity. They just need a way to transact. They just need a way to trade products or services. And that's the beauty of crypto. And that's why well, I'm not a crypto evangelist, but I am a believer, if you will, in the technology and the idea of being able to transact and be your own bank and be your own owner of value, of holding value. That is absolutely amazing. And that's why we love crypto, and that's why we promote it. It's a great thing to have, actually.
Yeah, it's true. And I think also what people sometimes, because it's not just inflation itself, right, which is pushing people into crypto. It's also the fact that as a result of the inflation, as a consequence, right, the governments are forced to impose stricter bank regulations, right? So you can't do remittances, or they make it extremely expensive to even withdraw cash, right?
Absolutely.
It's also why you see so many exchange houses. And I think in Argentina, I heard it's called Las Cuevas. Is that a term still?
Yeah. It is.
So you see things like that, which is also why the whole neo banking and the whole also crypto banking sector there is so attractive, right, for the people. So I guess that's a cool thing. But so how do you? Okay, so now we talked about all the good things, right? So what would you think are the main challenges in the region, right? Because obviously, if you look on the map and you say, okay, where's the most crypto innovation coming from, right? Geographically, Latin America probably pops up last on that list, right?
Absolutely,
comes to people's minds last on that list. So what do you think is the main challenge for Latin America to overcome in order to become really an internationally recognized crypto hub?
I don't know that it will ever will have that position in the world. We are underdeveloped countries. We're third world countries. We have to realize where we are. That doesn't mean that we are defined by that, but still we are. So every technological advancement, everything that we progress in the area, regardless if it's crypto or not, it's going to have a bit of a barrier of adoption. And that's the problem. Again, as we said, that necessity drives adoption up. It also provides some challenges. So briefly, we were discussing with another financial group yesterday about countries like Bolivia. And they try to penetrate that market and try to provide new products and services and wallets and systems in Bolivia. And it was very, very hard for people to go into an electronic payment system because they're used to handling cash. They don't even use bank accounts. So it's also an educational problem.
Yeah.
Again, you had the same situation in Venezuela, but again, it is a problem of demand as well. So the thing in Venezuela is people had the same challenges of adopting something new, but they were forced to. So it's a matter of whether you can increase that barrier or not, which is kind of difficult. But yeah, it's difficult because it's a third world country. All of the countries that we operate in are third world countries, and they have this handicap, if you will. But also, since there's this demand and necessity, well, people just go crazy over it, and they just try to push the boundaries. It's a hit and miss.
Yeah, and I think also, like you said, the point of the education there is super important, right? Which
super important. Yeah.
I also wanted to host events there, and I was really surprised actually when I came there. After spending a year in China, where people don't really care. They just come on events and they have some drinks, they have some beers, they exchange numbers, and boom, right? But when you host events in Latin America, people actually listen. They ask questions, right? They sit in the first row with a pen and paper, take notes, and they ask questions. And I've never seen something like that before, right? Because in China, right, obviously, they're leaps ahead in a lot of things there. But in China, people don't do that, right? It's more of a social thing. And I think in Latin America, there's still a lot of, putting the sleeves up and do the groundwork there. I think that needs to be done. But at the same time, like we were saying, you see like in Colombia, you see some, and Medellin especially is evolving into more and more into a crypto hub, right? Also innovation hub. They got, I think, elected by the World Bank, I think, for one of the 4 cities to be part of the Fourth Industrial Revolution program. And I think more of these kind of things, I think, are going to bring at least parts of Latin America onto the global stage. And I really hope that, that's why I'm also really excited to talk with you today, because I want people to learn about this and to be aware of this, that Latin America is a great market, right? It's a 500 million plus people that live there, right? It's a huge opportunity. And they all want to learn. They all want to get involved, right? So Yeah, so talk us through a little bit more. You said earlier a bit about what you do. You're in the payments and crypto neobank sector, and you provide financial products and services. Can you go a little bit deeper on that? What exactly you're doing? Who are your clients? How's the response rate so far? And what are your plans moving forward?
Yes, as I said, we started as a crypto exchange, a very simple and regular crypto exchange. We started by partnering with Bittrex about 6 years ago, when Bittrex was just starting up with a more global view instead of just the American one. So we became a Bittrex partner exchange for LATAM. We started in Chile, which was a good test bed to test some of our crazy ideas. Then we move into remittances, because since we got a license in Venezuela for a crypto exchange, and we've got an operation permit for an exchange in Chile, we decided to test if we can actually do remittances and crypto remittances between the two countries. And it actually worked, and then it solved the problem. And that led us to a few more things and aspects that we decided to develop there. So then we created QuickX, which is the remittance company. And after that, then we acquired a banking license in Dominica, in the Caribbean. And we started to do banking as well. So we then decided to put two and two together, and we decided to create this platform. And we started with prepaid cards, credit cards. And after a while, we said, okay, so this is nice. Let's try to move up to the US market. We then apply for a license. We partner up with another big company there, and we started to do a mix between crypto and crypto banking in the US for the LATAM market. And that included cross-border payments. And that actually became quite big. And in the meantime, we were developing some ideas for companies in Europe to be able to acquire locally. And we created QuickPay. So, which is the first solution for pay in and pay out services with crypto and regular fiat and several payment methods in each country. So, for example, we have a lot of big clients in the UK that they require payouts. They don't require a pay-in solution. They also require a payout solution. So that became quite big. And that just totally started to grow as we wouldn't imagine, as it did. And now it's becoming something quite big. We're trying to move into Central America and Mexico as well. And it's now becoming, and IBIT and iBank is going to merge into one big solution that is going to be called IBVA, which will provide all of those services into one comprehensive platform. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to partner up also with many companies in the fintech world, in the crypto world, that not necessarily are the same, in all of LATAM, in order to provide more services and keep growing, because we believe that we have to keep growing or you die. It's a very competitive market.
Yeah. And what are the biggest, if any, crypto projects out of Latin America? I think the most famous one, at least on an international space in crypto, is obviously Rootstock, right? RSK, with Diego, who is the founder of that.
Yeah.
Involved in many other projects. What are kind of like the top, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 projects from Latin America that people might know internationally also, crypto projects?
Well, crypto projects in Argentina, since I've been more in touch with the Argentinian environment lately, RSK is the one that comes to mind. They did start a pilot program with the Central Bank of Argentina. They're looking into some transactional operations here and provide solutions to banks as well, which is something quite interesting. If I had to put my money on it, RSK would be like number one right now, and they're quite disciplined, so I do like them a lot. Unfortunately, in Chile, there is not a massive project that you can think of that is going to cover a national coverage. Peru is just too green. Ecuador, they came up with an idea of tokenization for banana plantations, but didn't end up well. Colombia, there's a few. a lot of people are trying to get now that that marijuana is a bit of a legal thing, and you can legally grow with a license to sell to and export even. There's a lot of projects there that seem to be quite big. I know a few of them, especially in Medellin. I met a couple of guys that are doing some very, very big stuff there with tokenization, and a few companies from California that are investing there. So marijuana will be a big market, of course, in Colombia for that. And that is also very, very interesting, because also in the marijuana industry in Colombia, the property, the copyrights of the seeds is very important, and they're trying to tokenize that as well. So it's quite interesting what they're doing there in Colombia. Mexico is coming up with a few ideas that are amazing. I met with some guys there in Monterrey, and they're doing a lot of incredible things. Central America is quite underdeveloped, but we're looking into, so also Brazil is doing a few projects there. Most likely in the fintech industry, the neobanks as Nubank, for example, they're going into crypto quite heavily, I must say, and it is something that will happen eventually. So Brazil is also quite interesting because it is a huge market in itself. So yeah, I mean, it's ever growing.
Okay, yeah, it's pretty cool. And I was just looking up, there's this one project in Brazil, it's pretty good and big on the crypto market as well. I don't recall the name now, but they've been also doing pretty well. I think there's also a lot of tokenization stuff going on there, security tokens and those kinds of things.
Wow, amazing. Like you wouldn't believe. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really cool. I'm going to look it up in a second. But so one thing that I was interested, Chris, like you just mentioned, RSK is working with central banks. How is the whole CBDC thing, central bank digital currencies, in Latin America? Is there already some public pilot, some public testing for that? Is that something that is already coming and just around the corner, or are there zero talks?
In the upper level, executive, talking from, I don't know, the legislative part of each country, yes, Argentina is going to issue more sooner than later their own currency. Well, as you know, Petro did in Venezuela, which wasn't a big success, actually. But they're trying to make it work. I don't know how, but they're trying. Argentina will absolutely go into crypto, and they will absolutely launch their own currency. I've had a lot of conversations with people in this government, and also in the opposition. They want both sides of the aisle. They want it. They really want this to happen. Chile is going to be more resistant to change, as I said. Peru, right now, it's in the middle of an instability issue, and they're looking at cryptocurrencies very, very far away. Colombia will eventually launch their own cryptocurrency. That is also a fact. Otherwise, they wouldn't be adopting it through the new fintech law. Mexico is also another country that might. It's a bit difficult because it's such a large and difficult country, but it is something that people are looking at. Well, as you know, the Caribbean countries already did. Bahamas, all of those small countries, they did, and they did it under a united front, which is something quite interesting. It would be amazing to have a united front that will issue one currency, because the problem is that in Latam, every country believes that they're their own thing, and actually they're not. The more that you live in more of the Latin countries, like let's say Ecuador or Peru or Colombia, they're the same. They have pretty similar problems, so they're pretty similar in their issues. So they should have their own currency. I do believe that that's the way to go. They should have a LATAM currency, or at least an Andean currency, or I don't know, South Pacific currency, or something like that. If the Caribbean islands could do it, I don't see why the other countries in LATAM couldn't do the same. And it would be quite nice, actually, to have a proper cryptocurrency that you can trade with.
Yeah, that's I think that's the future anyways. You know, a lot of also major central banks are now doing their homework on DLTs and blockchain and all these kinds of emerging technologies. And eventually they're all going to digitize their currencies, which is what China has been doing. Probably after the Bahamas, they already launched their CBDC at full scale, but China is probably the second. And well, it's much more bigger economy, right? It's probably it is the largest economy in the world.
Right now, yes.
Adjusted GDP, right?
Yes.
So that's interesting.
And don't forget Japan. Japan was the one that actually announced it like 5 years ago. Remember that they decided to launch their own.
Yeah, they had
delayed, but Japan is going to do it anyways.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like a lot of these Asian countries, also Korea, they're pretty much ahead of the game there. We're a little bit slow, but I think we're picking up. We're conservative, but when we do things, we do them right. So that's at least a promise. Let's see what comes out of that. But I also saw recently the ECB, they published a paper and they were literally explaining in the appendix, they were explaining Polkadot and Cosmos as interoperability layers, right? So I think it's kind of like these two worlds coming together. In LATAM, obviously, you have a stronger, probably, or you have more, people who want to build things, right? You have more hunger from the people, they really want to change things. They want to change their own lives, but also offer services that help others because there's a need, right? And if there's a need, there's also money in it, obviously, right?
Of course.
But in order to, wrap this up soon, because the attention span these days in a crypto bull run is pretty low for the people, right? What are some projects? Give us some names, give us some coins that are really hot in Latin America. Every geographics, they have their different favorite coins. What are the projects in LATAM that people are really mostly interested in?
Well, Polkadot, I mean, it was something out of the blue. Nobody was talking about it and it just exploded.
Yeah.
Well, I know it's not a new one, but a lot of people are looking into Ethereum for some reason. Usually everybody talks about Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin is the benchmark, Bitcoin is king. But a lot of people lately have been asking about purchasing Ethereum. We have had in our own system and our associates, we've seen a lot of growth in Ethereum purchasing for some reason. A lot of people are purchasing Ethereum. As I said, Polkadot, and a few of the new DeFi coins are also quite interesting because of DeFi. DeFi has created a lot of impact. But not specifically LATAM projects that I can think of. Not as big. I mean, there's always somebody with a new idea and launching something new, but mostly is people follow trends, of course. So if they see something interesting, I don't know, like cake, they just go at it. But it's not like, okay, Brazil is going to launch the whatever project and they're going to go crazy for it. It's just too green of a market so far. So people love USDT, of course. They love Tether. Tether is king by far because the idea of having an electronic dollar is like perfect. You don't have to understand crypto. You don't have to know anything. You just hold Tether and that's it. And it makes lives easier for people, especially in countries that need and are prohibited to use dollars. So Tether is huge here. I mean, people don't care about Bitcoin. People trade in Tether. Everything is in Tether.
That's so
this is happening also in Chile and in Peru. Tether is like surpassing Bitcoin by far. 2-1 at least in our numbers.
That's interesting because I think I'm full-time crypto. I'm balls deep into Uniswap, liquidity providing, and all these kinds of things, yield farming, but also for us, USDT is mostly a hedge against the volatility of crypto, right? So
of course, it's a safe haven.
It's a safe haven, yeah. But I think what you just mentioned is a very important aspect because and that is actually probably, if you count in numbers, there's more people that are interested to use stable coins for that use case, is to actually have more financial freedom, right? In the end of the day, as
Absolutely, absolutely.
a hedge against their own currencies, their national currencies. I think we don't have to talk about the Venezuelan bolivar. I don't even know if it even exists anymore. But it's very interesting, how this technology positively impacts a lot of people's lives. That goes way beyond just price speculation and getting rich with cryptos. That's all cool, right? But there's also a lot of other positive side effects, I guess, that impact people's lives, right? Especially in third world regions, right? Or underdeveloped regions. Africa, Southeast Asia, Latin America, right?
Yeah. Well, we were the first to offer Tether. Just to give you a brief of context, we were the first to offer Tether in Chile, Argentina, and Peru. The first exchange. All of them were trying to do Bitcoin. Some of them were just doing Bitcoin and Ethereum, and that's about it, 2 or 3. In Argentina, they were doing DAI, a lot of DAI, but not Tether. And nowadays, Tether is king. It's amazing. I mean, they're purchasing in the millions. The average ticket that we have in Tether is above 200,000. That's the average ticket on the OTC desk. People come in and desperately want to purchase Tether. They don't want Bitcoin. They don't want Ethereum. They just want Tether because for them it's easier to relate. So for the uninitiated in the crypto space, they just want something that they can comprehend. And Tether removes that barrier. Absolutely. And when they comprehend that they can actually send Tether across the world without having to ask permission, without having to provide any documentation, and they can move funds freely, it just blows their mind.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's actually a big thing there, and like I said, in crypto, we're always affiliated to that, investing in cryptocurrencies, but you can also use cryptocurrencies, right? Whether if it's a smart contract on Ethereum that earns yield or generates revenue, or whether it's just a simple use case, as in you can swap into USDT or DAI. I would prefer DAI because I think USDT is a little bit, the company is a little bit, I don't know. There's some.
You can say dodgy. It's all right. You can say dodgy.
Dodgy is a good word. Yeah, dodgy is a good word. But that's a huge use case there, right? Remittances, cross-border payments, right? Those kinds of things. Just moving funds around, like you're saying, and people tend to forget that. But yeah, man. So I think that was a great discussion, great conversation and insight also that you gave on the whole landscape in Latin America. I still think it's a great market with a lot of potential, a lot of opportunities.
It's the second largest growing market in the world, being Africa the first. The second one is Latin America.
Yeah, so there's a lot of opportunities, and we're also seeing this right now. Like I was saying, we also work in that space now. So we're actually helping projects to expand into Latin America, and the demand is just exponentially growing. Everybody wants to get involved here, and if you just look at the surveys, Venezuela, Mexico, Colombia, Argentina, they're always on top of the list when it comes to crypto adoption, right?
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Yeah. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it, man.
Thank you for your time as well.
Final words to share, and also share some, how people can find you, how they can, if they have any questions to you or want to get in touch with you, you can also share that.
Okay. Yeah, of course. We have our websites, either ibit.co or quickiepay.com or quickx.net. We can always offer services and products that will help you throughout your financial freedom in each country and cross-border payments and so on and so forth. So yeah, you can contact us and we will happily and gladly help you with your needs.
All right, perfect, man. So hope all the best for you, and we'll catch up soon, hopefully.
Of course, mate. Cheers. Have a great day.
Take care, man. Thanks.
Bye-bye.